ESF Community Grants is a small grants programme co-financed by the Skills Funding Agency, and it's all about not-for-profit groups accessing small amounts of funding to provide informal learning opportunities for people who are unemployed and will be considered hard to reach by mainstream providers. The East Midlands, our programme it's a regional programme, so it's the East Midlands, so it's the 5 counties of the East Midlands, and we've kind of subdivided the budget up to try and get projects across the whole region. And the grants are awarded on a competitive basis, so the selection panels review the applications and then they make their funding decisions, and they're looking for really targeted, focused proposals that offer good value for money, and they're also looking for things that are new ways of engaging people and effective ways, and things that are perhaps a little bit different from what might normally be happening with mainstream funding. And I think something that's really quite crucial about this programme as well is that our selection panels, they're all independently convened, and they're people from public sector agencies and the voluntary sector, people with a lot of local knowledge. But we like them to sort of be prepared to take a bit of a risk and look for something that's a bit different and the sorts of things, new groups, new activities that perhaps aren't generally funded, to try and see if we can find that gem, something that's going to make a real difference in the region. Beatitude is supported through our 4th application round, and I think the application stood out to the selection panel because it was a new group, a really sort of different way of approaching things, but I think it was primarily about the target group. Beatitude are working with people who are on the margins of society, people who are homeless, sometimes even rough sleepers, people with drug and alcohol addictions. And I think that's really what made the selection panel want to give this project a go. And again, for me, when I went along for the first time to meet with a group to draft their grant agreement, I didn't really know what to expect. I certainly didn't expect to meet a vicar, and I certainly didn't expect a vicar quite like Liz. And I walked in, the group is based at the St Mary Le Wigford Church in Lincoln, right by the station, and the drop-in centre's at the back. But I actually walked in through the church when I first went. So you walk into this incredibly ancient building with all the weight of history and all this solemnity of all the worship. And then behind it all, there's just this hive of activity. And there's Liz, she's so dynamic and passionate about what they're doing. And it's just such a contrast in this ancient building and then this live, and it is faith in action. It's just incredible to sort of see. And I think I just came away feeling really quite humbled by the work that they do and the people and the way that they work. It really is just incredible this programme can be involved with that organisation and that project. Well, Beatitude as an organisation, they call themselves a community. They're totally inclusive, so their support is offered to anybody who wants it. And the critical thing that they try to do is to get people involved in sustaining that community in some way. So they're always encouraging people to take on little jobs. And I think the whole idea behind this project was to employ a volunteer coordinator, and I've met Elizabeth now, who's in post, and she's working to sort of establish a structured volunteering programme for the people who are going to take part in it. And what they do is they try to make it as much like real life work experience as possible. So they advertise the little jobs, little roles, and then the participants have to apply. So they have a simple application form. And I guess they then look at how it can work, because sometimes they need to put a support plan in place to allow this to happen and undertake risk assessments. And then they also do sort of training. So there's a cafe within the drop-in centre, and obviously the kitchen providing food for the people who are coming in and using it. And there's also group do have an allotment as well. And obviously this time of year they're not sort of sending people out to do work up there, but those opportunities are there. And so Elizabeth is sort of arranging things like sort of training, and they're trying to do it in a way that works for the participants. So they wouldn't necessarily be able to sort of go off to do an external 2-day training course. So Elizabeth is doing it in-house, and she's doing sort of like bite-sized chunks of training for them around things like food hygiene that are relevant to the work that they're going to be doing. And also Elizabeth is doing things like pamper sessions with the participants, and like doing manicures. Things that help raise the self-esteem, but also obviously around personal hygiene, which can be an issue for people who have been homeless or sleeping rough. So all the time, the things that they're doing, it's very much focused on the individual, but helping them to value their contribution to the community and give them some recognition for what they're doing as well. The selection panel have taken a really sort of different approach to this project, something they've not done before, and they have actually awarded a second grant to the organisation, even though the first project is still running, because what they wanted to do was ensure that the volunteer coordinator could have some sustained employment to allow the project to develop and not to have a gap in between two grants, because obviously groups are allowed to apply for two grants, but generally speaking we have a gap in between, but not in this case. And also as well, the selection panel said, again very unusually, we want to give them some more money. So as well as covering the costs of employing the volunteer coordinator, we're also going to be funding, there's a little pot of funding there to fund sort of things for the participants, so if there's any travel costs, if they should be going anywhere, but also, quite crucially, to purchase a uniform for the volunteers so that they have an identity within the community of they are a volunteer, they're on this project, and so you've got that side of that recognition again and feeling belonging, but also there's the issue about making sure that people are out of their street clothes whilst they're working in food prep and in the cafe, etc. So there's two sides to that, which hopefully will be positive for the group. I think as an organisation, clearly they need funding in order to continue what they're doing. The need for this isn't going to go away anytime soon. So hopefully they're having had this funding and the experience they've gained through having a community grant, we're hoping might lead them to find a more sustainable and larger source of funding so they can continue their work.